Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here. We're talking Shaddolls in this video, and before anybody even thinks about asking, yes, I'm wearing my winter footy pajamas. I got them Shaddolls pom-poms pumping, baby. And in all seriousness, I'm asking the question in this video if people gave up on Shaddolls too early, and I think I need to go back about a month or so. You had a lot of people just completely dumping the deck because, you know, Cleaves were obviously tier 1 and people expectedly wanted to play the first ever Pendulum art type. And after seeing how nutty Fire Lake was, a lot of people jumped on the, you know, kind of Patrick Hoban bandwagon with Burning Abyss. So it kind of seems like Shaddolls got left out in the cold. Like, I mean, they were kind of discarded. And even if you look at the Shadoll prices for the cards right now, it clearly shows the prices have pretty much plummeted. And one thing that I actually noticed was a lot of people were saying that Shaddolls just weren't as good as Burning Abyss or Cleaves, that they were on a lower tier than the other two decks. And I'm not trying to put the guy on blast or anything, but MCO40 even made a video and he was talking about how Shadolls had been power creeped, which generally just means that, you know, exactly, you're just on a lower tier. And I was watching the video thinking, what? I don't agree at all what he's talking about. But what I've actually noticed in the last 10 days or so is that Shaddolls have come back with a vengeance. And I'm saying this is like the Empire Strikes Back level. And you know what? I just want to pause for a second and just say, yes, we got a Star Wars reference in a Yu-Gi-Oh video, ladies and gentlemen. We did it. Continuing on with the video, over the last week, I would say that Shaddolls have easily become the most popular deck on Dueling Network, which I'm probably on way too much. And surprisingly, it actually did the best at YCS Sydney, taking 12 out of the top 32 spots. And I mean, this event was respectable. It had over 600 people, which is larger than, you know, your typical ARG. So that's a really strong showing for Shaddolls. Burning Abyss took 9 spots, Cleaves took 8, Satella Knights took 4, and pretty much everything else was irrelevant. I think that this all started with Jeff Jones's variant, which, I mean, the variant was basically made to do two things. Number one, wreck Burning Abyss, because you locked out their back row with Denko, and then you made it way easier to abuse Fusion when you go second. I mean, if you go second against BA, 98% of the time they're throwing Dante out there without even thinking about it. You summon Denko to lock the back row down, you use Fusion, you basically win the game. And then number two, the deck was meant to OTK the fuck out of your opponent. This is why he ran stuff like, you know, 3 econs, you can summon your baby dragons, you can tribute the baby dragon, take your opponent's best monster, you get to trigger the baby dragon, search another one, and then summon that one off the first one. And then when you add in the L Shut-Off Fusions, I mean, it's almost like you get an infinite amount of attacks. It's like, it's crazy the amount of attacks that Shaddolls can do when you run stuff like econ and whatnot. And what I think that people started to realize about Shaddolls is it's still easily like a tier 1 deck. It's just as strong as the big 3. I wouldn't even say that, you know, it's are the worst of the big 3. I think that all of that argument is completely debatable. The one thing I will say about Shaddolls is it does have a unique ability that the other two decks don't. And that's the ability to be played in 2 completely different ways. You obviously have the Denko Sekka version, which is very strong against Burning Abyss. But then you also have the Artifact version, which is still very popular, still being played, and it's much better against Cleaves. It's the version that I run, and I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's because you have so many cards that act as MST to hit Scout. I mean, you have, like in my version, I run 3 MSTs and 3 Ignitions, a double Cyclone. You have 3 Sanctums, which can become more attack. You know, 3 Mathematicians, which can send Dragon or Phaelus to Black Rose. Like basically, in a 6-card hand, you're probably gonna draw at least 2 to 3 MST type cards. So I mean, they obviously take care of that matchup. And with Shaddolls, it's like you can kind of pick and choose which version of the deck you want to run based on how you feel a certain event or a certain meta is going to be. And I don't think that, I mean, maybe in Shaddolls' situation, no one really likes dirt being thrown in their face before they're dead, and maybe that's what happened here. I even look at the deck next format and I think, okay, well, it's pretty much confirmed they're getting a water fusion. So, you know, look out, because as crazy as it seems, if the water fusion is even half decent, you know, Jeff Jones did actually side deck Treeborn Frog, and it could be a very viable card considering, you know, in that version, all he ran was 3 Shadow Games and a core in Shadow Games is chainable, so you could technically run Treeborn Frog. It really wouldn't be that difficult to get a water in there, and then it would be even easier to like side into Vanities and Majesties and stuff like that. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think that this Shadow trend of just like Shadows are just kind of like everywhere right now? Do you think that this is a blip, a trend? What do you think of it? Thank you guys for watching, as always. Subscribing makes life happy.